Today, another update video on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also on some other coins. I'm going to show you a few new trades that I will be entering now as well. Yesterday, during the live video, which I started very spontaneously, I showed you which trades I entered, and all of them were executed yesterday. None of them are currently at a loss or have closed at a loss. I opened positions in Bitcoin, Ethereum, HBAR, Cardano, and Solana, but we'll go through that in the second part of the video, because I'll show you new entries that I will also be using now and am preparing here. And the valid trading strategy I use for this, you can see here there have already been quite a few trades. We'll just use Solana as an example now, which is working really well here, but that's only a small part of what I actually trade. I want to quickly show you a little bit about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's maybe start briefly with Bitcoin, because things are looking very, very exciting for Bitcoin. I've already prepared something, the weekly chart. Here we see the yellow area that you can see, simply a valid bullish upward structure, which we are still maintaining in the price action. But if we take that away now, we can also see on the EMA ribbon that we're still using it as a wave we're riding. And we can also see here that we found perfect support at the first EMA, which coincided exactly with the trading strategy I showed earlier, how I entered my trades long-term using the 0.618 Fibonacci level. And now the price has risen. And I also showed that yesterday in the live video. That actually gave me a double confirmation to enter a long position here, or rather to scale up my existing longs. Are you interested in how my trading strategy works? Check out my channel. Among the most popular videos, it's already ranked 4th out of all my videos. So it's one of the top videos in terms of views on my channel. And the video has only been online for 4 weeks. I really show everything in detail there. You'll also find a playlist called Learn Trading, Step by Step to Becoming a Profitable Trader. You'll find that video there as well, but there are also a few more that will hopefully help you further with your trading. Otherwise, I also recommend my very first video on my channel, 100% Passive Income on Autopilot. There, I show you my strategy, how I use trading bots and have actually been generating passive income here for over a year and a half. We also have a community in the Telegram group. There you'll see many members who are doing this as well, doing it very profitably, and honestly, everyone is really enthusiastic about it. So feel free to check it out, and otherwise I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel. But now let's continue with Bitcoin. The only thing that's bothering me a bit about Bitcoin right now, we're looking at the weekly chart, and let me remove this one more time. In the EMA ribbon, it's not so nice, it's bearish. So we're now below the EMA ribbon. You have to imagine it like this. We're under the wave and are now trying, hopefully, to surface bit by bit and not get pushed back down again. Because in the past, that has led to lower prices for us, and that wouldn't be all that nice. And you can see here, every time there's an attempt to surface, then a bit of a drop again, but that was a strong consolidation phase in the form of a downtrend until we finally broke through it to the upside with a bull flag. And that's why we should be a bit cautious. Personally, I don't really believe that we're going to fall sharply to the downside, because if we look here at our liquidation heat map, and we can also see this together with the liquidation map, if we just look at the last 2 weeks, we have a comparison of 4.4 billion waiting for liquidation above us, but only 2.3 billion below us. That means the ratio is of course much more interesting for the market makers above us. But now let's look at 1 month, and I think that's more meaningful, so that hopefully, I hope we can use this data. We have almost 6.3 billion in liquidations just above us, and in comparison only about 2 billion below us on a 1 month basis. For market makers, of course, it's a super interesting game to target exactly these large clusters up here. If we now move on to Ethereum, just briefly, before we look at the trades. Ethereum currently has this upward trend that started at around $2,100 and has not yet been broken. Even now, as you can see, it is still holding up wonderfully as support on the daily chart. We have a problem with Ethereum that I currently see. Fortunately, it hasn't made a lower low yet. That means as soon as we break through this price range here, yes, these $4,071 to the downside, I would be a bit cautious because that would break our upward trend and our last lower low to the downside, at which point I would actually start to feel a bit bearish. If we now look at this on the Ethereum heat map, or rather in the order book, let's start with the order book. If you look here at Ethereum at 4,250, we have about 115,000 Ethereum sitting there waiting to be picked up. That's quite a lot. Of course, these are leveraged positions combined from all exchanges. So we have a few exchanges combined here, but also up here an opportunity for 33,000 Ethereum, which are placed here as sell orders. And this is simply the order book that we can view live. And this exact area here, so we can see more precisely what it looks like, we can have it visualized. And here I am now with Ethereum, and this is exactly this area here. And here you can see the number of Ethereum waiting here for a long position. It's possible, of course, that this could be a spoofing order where people have simply placed orders here to lure the price in that direction so that it gets filled there, and then the order disappears again shortly after. Hopefully that won't be the case here, because if you look at these amounts of Ethereum, you can see the quantities, the number of units lying here. If these orders get filled here, it could give us a beautiful bounce and finally push the price back up. That's why at the moment trading Ethereum isn't quite as clean or ideal as I'm usually used to. Despite everything, a few positive trades have come in. Before we move on to the new positions, just a quick update on the trading bots. This is the first video I showed you here. 100% passive income. Here you can see the trading bots that are currently running. I currently have 2 open, but there will be more again soon. They're working wonderfully. My other regular positions, which I scaled yesterday as well, are also doing well. So for example, Bitcoin is up here with just under $2,800 in profit, Solana with $200 in profit, and Ethereum overall with a bit more than $20,000 in profit. These trading bots on Bitunix, I go live with them regularly. Feel free to check it out and see how we open trading bots together. They're now overall in profit. I've also done a bit of hedging with the bots, but there will be new update videos coming soon. Let's take a look at the positions. Let's start with Bitcoin. That's what I showed live yesterday. With Bitcoin, we're in a great spot. We have this large position here from the bigger time frame. Exactly with this correction from the high we had, the 0.5 level didn't hold as an entry position, but we can see beautifully here how strongly the 0.618 Fibonacci level acted as support and has now catapulted us to higher prices. It's beautiful to see. At the same time, and this was also yesterday, which is why I scaled in again, not just because of this Fibonacci, but also because of this area here, so that and I said that out of all the coins I traded yesterday, I liked Bitcoin the most. Simply for the reason that we gradually broke through this downtrend to the upside here and kept making new higher highs and higher lows. And that was exactly the reason for me to say, with these highs, I'm now waiting for a correction. The correction did come, which I was waiting for, but in this case without a stop loss, because for me it was simply a scaling of my position that I had at, and here I had already realized a bit of profit. That means $95 profit. 20 still open at the moment, but that was the position that I scaled exactly here and then took a bit of profit, and now the remaining amount is still open. You can see here the other positions. Cardano, for example, still very small. HBAR also still very small in profit, but at least it's in profit. Solana was closed here in profit. I'll show you that in a moment as well. Ethereum also worked out very well. That means up here, I took this entry with a stop loss, used the entry, and then live in the video yesterday, also took profits here, set the stop loss to break even, which was good because otherwise my stop loss would have been hit as well. HBAR, so you can see that as well. We'll get to new positions in a moment, which I'll show you and which I've just prepared. But HBAR, you can also take a look at that on the higher time frame. Here too, I entered with a long position. Exactly for this reason, and HBAR really had a fantastic pump here, which has now of course invalidated this bearish price action, or at least shifted it into a bullish one, and I took advantage of this correction at this point in time to enter a long position here. Stop loss just before the 0.618. This means for those who are trading this, as always, no guarantees. You're welcome to check it out also in my next live video. I've placed the next order at the 0.618 Fibonacci with a stop loss that I'll adjust accordingly. But I'll take a closer look at that because we still have a fair value gap in this candle where I might adjust the stop loss a little bit. But there's still a bit of time for that. Maybe that will already be enough for us to have a reversal and reach my take profit zone up here. Cardano is also looking great. Same game here once we're in. With Cardano, I think, yes, with Cardano, I was lucky that I saw it this way, so I missed the 0.5 Fibonacci, but actually yesterday I got in at the 0.6 weight. Or rather, I got another confirmation here on a smaller time frame. That was this price range here. I got in here again. Here is the 0.618. And I saw, okay, we're using this area here, dipped nicely into the 0.5 and then moved up. But the position isn't closed because for me, this position has a take profit set at $1.01. But you can also see it here, 0.618, in case it gets triggered again, but I'll cover that in the next videos. What's interesting for me at the moment, that was my Solana position from yesterday. The small take profit here, of course, this was adjusted with leverage, but here as well, briefly at 0.5, I got a small stop loss, but 0.618 was triggered, the stop loss wasn't hit, and then we reached the take profit. I already took partial profits in this price range, and after that, the rest was taken out. And what does that mean now? The setup is done for me. For this reason, I now use the last low we had and see if we make a new higher high. If so, I'll of course trail it accordingly. Otherwise, for me, this would be an opportunity to re-enter here at 0.5 at $204.60 or $202.87, of course, with a reasonable stop loss. What else would fit in well here? In this particular area right here, if I were to utilize the rectangle tool, we have precisely a spot where we could potentially find significant support, primarily because there's a considerable bit of trading volume present here that could effectively fit in. However, of course, I am also being quite cautious because I absolutely do not want to completely rule out this alternative possibility either. So I'd say maybe we dip in here one more time. That would be my worst case second setup. If the first one doesn't work out and I get stopped out twice, I would take another look and maybe expand it a bit. But for now, that's how my setup looks. Let's see what happens today when the market opens. Maybe we really will dip because a lot of people think so. And honestly, I didn't believe anymore yesterday that we would drop so quickly with all these coins. And what happened? It happened so quickly that we dropped down, I had to replace all my orders and then went live instead of showing you a video. It's similar with Litecoin. I'm waiting on Litecoin. With Litecoin, I'm actually waiting until we reach the 0.5 level. So at the moment, it looks like even on a higher time frame, if I zoom in here, we had a wonderful structure break and took out this last high right here. Again, not only did we already have this, but we also already had this one here. In addition, we've also just had a retest here at the last high. So now I've set up a true long-term Fibonacci retracement trade setup, and I'm waiting for $105.10 to place my next order and enter the position. And what I forgot to mention at the beginning of my Bitcoin analysis is that I now have a second setup here as well, because the first setup was traded. In that case, a take profit was also reached, even though I didn't trade it exactly like that due to my open position. But now we have a new low here where we've reached a new high. And in this case, this would now be my current new trade setup. I'll move this to the side now so that I can follow this upward structure here. And if the price continues to rise, of course, I'll keep adjusting it accordingly. And then I'll wait again for my 0.5 or 0.618 Fibonacci retracement to enter. Of course, I'll include this again in my upcoming videos. But of course, we should always look at the chart neutrally because, and we must not forget this, overall we are still in a downtrend and we really must not lose sight of that. We actually need to break this validly first, specifically to close and hold the price above this high right here. Because at this point, this was also the last short I didn't take since I thought, okay, maybe we have a reversal here, but let's just look at the chart neutrally again. And the 0.5 Fibonacci was actually triggered perfectly there. And after that, it hit its take profit again. And exactly something similar could happen to us now as well. Despite everything, at this point, this trade would be almost invalid. So it probably would have just barely triggered the stop loss here. In that case, I wouldn't enter it anymore either. Of course, we should take a look at the 0.786 level. But if we break through this bearish scenario at the 0.786 level to the upside so that we actually continue this upward structure and then move above the 0.786 as a bearish scenario, then that would be ideal for me, where I would say, okay, I have more hope for this upward structure. Guys, please don't forget to leave a few subscriptions and also check out the trading bot video, which is super interesting. Not only that, but also the simplest trading strategy, which I just showed you how I enter my trades. By now, as I said, it's the 4th best video, and it's only been on my channel for 4 weeks. It will definitely reach #1 very soon. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, and until then, happy profits.